Now, as the first vehicle to bear the Skyactiv badge, Mazda makes some much needed changes to their best-selling CX-5 crossover. Today I'm driving the heavily refreshed 2016 model. Let's take a look and see if some of the changes the company made are enough to make the Mazda stand out in a segment full of hungry competitors. As the company's entry into the crowded compact crossover segment, Mazda knew they could no longer sell a vehicle that was basically just a heavily rebadged Ford Escape. Now, when the CX-5 was first introduced back in 2012, the company started from scratch. This was the first vehicle that was built to be completely all Mazda. It doesn't share any components or any parts with the Ford Escape like the previous Mazda Tribute did. Now, I actually showed you guys the CX-5 last year. I had a 2015 model. Mazda has made some pretty significant changes to the vehicle for 2016, so let's go over that. Now, the CX-5 essentially did replace the CX-7 crossover as well. That vehicle was the company's turbocharged, basically almost a Mazda Speed 3 on stilts. It was a very popular vehicle for enthusiasts. It was praised for driving very well. It was a very fun to drive, quick crossover. However, in terms of fuel efficiency, in terms of space, it definitely lagged behind the competition, and that was one of the reasons why Mazda had to get rid of that vehicle. Now, the CX-5 in terms of size is right in line with a Honda CR-V, a Toyota RAV4, a Nissan Rogue, and it has quickly become Mazda's best-selling model, eclipsing even the best-selling Mazda 3 compact hatch and sedan. Now, you can see at the front, Mazda did make some pretty good changes to the vehicle. It will take a steady eye to notice the changes. Compared to the 15 model that I showed you, the grille is slightly different. It's slightly larger. The emblem's been repositioned. The headlights now sport full LEDs. If you guys go for the GT with the technology package, they are also swiveling adaptive, and you also get LED fog lights. Now, that does replace the previously optional bi-xenon headlights that were available on the GT model, like my tester that I had last year. Now, coming around the side of the vehicle, you can see the CX-5 sports these new 19-inch wheels. They do fill out the wheel wells nicely, and I do like the black finish spokes. It makes the car look fairly aggressive. Looking around the rear of the vehicle, things really haven't changed too much. You still have the nicely integrated dual exhaust outlet. You have these slightly updated LED taillights that come on the GT models. And overall, this vehicle is still a very handsome crossover. You can still take your pick between 3 different trims. There's the base Sport, mid-level Touring, and then the top-of-the-line Grand Touring like my tester. And overall, most people are going to be quite liking the size. To me, it looks almost like a tall hatchback, which is how most of the vehicles in this class looks, although some competitors do have more of an SUV look that tend to go for a boxier appearance. The CX-5 makes no excuses in letting you know that it's a crossover, and it's one of the most handsome looking crossovers in the segment. But let's take a look at the interior and see some of the changes that Mazda has made. Now, stepping inside the interior of the 2016 CX-5, you can see it's a very nice cabin. Mazda has been doing a really nice job with all of their interiors as of late, and the CX-5 is definitely no exception. My particular tester does have these beautiful looking almond colored seats. It contrasts very nicely with the black interior and the soul red color. Now, stepping inside the vehicle, you can see in terms of every other crossover, it's a very nice step in height, and you do have a very nice commanding view of the road. You sit up higher. This is one of the reasons, again, I've said countless times why this class is so important to people. Now, shutting the door, it has a pretty nice solid thunk. The CX-5 in general just feels very solid, and it's just a very premium atmosphere. Mazda is very good at making their cars feel almost like luxury cars, especially if you look at lower brands, and they've done a really good job with their interiors. Now, here is the key fob for the vehicle. It is the standard Mazda key fob. It does come standard with the push-button start. The higher trims, the Touring and up, will give you the intelligent access. So all you have to do is put your foot on the brake and then push the button right behind the steering wheel to start the engine. And you can hear you have the standard 2.5 liter Skyactiv G 4-cylinder engine. It's the same engine you're going to find in the Mazda 6 that I've shown you guys. And Mazda did add this engine as a new engine for 2014. It addressed the criticism of the 2-liter engine, which is still available in the base Sport as being underpowered for this kind of vehicle. Now, looking at the rest of this interior, you can see this is the highlight of 2016. This is the all-new Mazda Connect head unit. It's a larger 7-inch screen versus the older 5.8-inch screen that I showed you guys in the 2015 model. You can see it is a touchscreen, just like the previous 5.8-inch screen, and you can also use this Mazda Connect controller down here, which very much goes after the European makes. And Mazda actually gives you a choice. You can use the controller down here, or you can use the touchscreen here. Personally, I like the controller aspect. I think it's better than getting all the nasty fingerprints all over the touchscreen. But nevertheless, looking at the rest of the interior, you can see the dashboard right here is a soft touch material. It's a very nice high quality finish. You have this faux stitching along the Connect display here. I'm sorry, the Mazda Connect display. There's some more silver painted plastic accents around here. It's a very nice interior. You can see here down here, there's even a soft touch leather portion here where your knees may hit while you're driving. So it's very nice. Looking at the door panels right here, it is a somewhat soft, pliable material. It could be a little bit softer, but there is some leather stitching right here where your elbows are going to rest. And then the windows are automatic up down for only the driver's side. I kind of wish Mazda made that for the passenger side as well. But looking at the steering wheel, it's basically the same steering wheel that you get from a Mazda 3. It's a pretty nice steering wheel. It feels good in your hands, leather stitch, and the gauges are very simple to read, very legible. They don't hurt your eyes. They're great to look at a glance. Now, my particular tester, of course, has the dual zone automatic climate control. It does come standard in the GT. There are some heated seats down here as well. There are no cooled seats available. Down here in this cubby, you do have 2 USB ports and then your SD card slot for your navigation option, in addition to an aux port. Now, putting the vehicle in reverse, you do have a Mazda standard 6-speed Skyactiv automatic. You can get a manual. It's one of the few crossovers you can get with a stick if you guys go for the Sport with a 2-liter. Putting it into reverse, you do see you have a nice backup camera right there, which does have some distance markers but no trajectory. Kind of the norm for this class. There are no sensors. There are no parking sensors on this vehicle at all. Now, going back to this head unit here, you can see pushing the home button here will take you to the standard Connect home screen where you can cycle between navigation, settings, your communication, entertainment, applications. Applications aren't really the apps that you're thinking of. It's basically just a fuel economy monitor, an HD traffic, a maintenance guide. Going to your audio sources here, if you're trying to get to your audio, like your apps like Pandora, you have to use the controller down here. Go to your media sources there, and that'll give you your AHA, your Stitcher, your Pandora, Bluetooth streaming, USB, CD, aux. And overall, it's a very simple system to use. I do think that setting presets are a little bit more complicated than I would like. I would prefer Mazda just give us actual hard buttons here for the number and which preset, instead of having to go to favorites here and then do it from the favorite screen. Now, going to the nav screen here, this is basically the standard Mazda navigation unit. I've shown you guys this before. It gets the job done. It's nothing really too fancy, but in terms of just a non-luxury brand, Mazda's navigation screen it works pretty well, and it gives you pretty good guidance. This maps display are okay as well. Now, looking at the glove compartment there, it's a nice size. It's damped. It's not lined with felt. My particular tester does have a moonroof option here, which the moonroof itself is interesting. It's one touch to open it. However, if you're trying to close it, it's not one touch. You have to actually hold it. I kind of think that was a stupid omission on Mazda's part. I kind of wish that they offered that. But overall, the seats, they're very comfortable. I love the color, again, of these seats, the almond color with the red stitching and the black contrast. And this vehicle is definitely a very easy car to live with, and it's definitely one of the perfect family cars / road trip cars. Now, looking at the rear seat area of the CX-5, you can see it's also a very practical vehicle. There's lots of space here, lots of legroom, and you have the same elevated seating position and height getting in. Now, you can see here, getting inside this vehicle and shutting the door, there's a lot of legroom back here. I'm 5'7", I'm pretty short, but you can see there's lots of foot space underneath here, so I can stretch my legs out. There are no vents back here. Some of the competitors in the class do offer it, but there is a nice folding armrest down here with cup holders. The seats themselves, they are 60-40 split fold down, and overall the materials back here are pretty good. You do have dual matte pockets here, and then you have hard plastic on the upper door panels here, but it is leather stitched right here where your elbows are going to rest. Now, one thing the CX-5 is missing versus some of its competitors is a power tailgate. There is no power tailgate option on this vehicle, even though my fully loaded model doesn't have it. Now, you can see here the cargo area is very nice. There's about 35 cubic feet of space. When you're looking at the cargo area here, you fold those seats down, you'll get about 68 cubic feet of space, which is on par for most of the competitors in the class. It's a very nice opening. The liftover is also pretty low. Looking underneath the floor here, you do have a temporary spare tire, so it's nice that Mazda definitely gives you that feature. Now under the hood of the 2016 Mazda CX-5, you get your choice of two different engines. This is the larger engine. It comes standard on the Touring and Grand Touring. It's the company's 2.5 liter Skyactiv G 4-cylinder engine. In this application, it makes 184 horsepower and 185 foot-pounds of torque. Pretty good numbers for the class. A CR-V makes about 185 horsepower as well. Now there is no turbocharged or V6 engine upgrade like some of its competitors, and fuel economy is really where Mazda and this class really care about. This particular application with all-wheel drive is rated at 24 in the city, 30 on the highway. Now that's on regular gas. This 2.5 engine only comes with the 6-speed Skyactiv automatic. Now this car, if you get the 2-liter with front-wheel drive with a manual, will get up to 35 miles per gallon, which is tops in the class in terms of non-hybrids. Nevertheless, this is the application that most people get. Let's get out on the road and see how it all works together, shall we? Now, in typical Mazda fashion, the 2016 CX-5 drives very nicely. In fact, when I showed you guys this car back in last year, the 2015 model, I was very impressed with it. I think it's one of the most car-like driving crossovers in the class. It's also one of the most sporty to drive in the class, just because the steering is excellent, the transmission is brilliant, and driving this car is just very pleasant in general. Now really, the only unpleasant experience is just overall acceleration. Now, typical in this class, this vehicle is not designed to be a rocket in a straight line. No, really none of the vehicles in the class are, only if you're gonna go for the V6 or the turbo options. Those of you with a lead foot may wanna consider that. But overall, this 2.5 has pretty adequate power. With 184 horsepower on tap, the vehicle weighs about 3,400 pounds. It will get to 60 in the low 8-second range, which is plenty powerful for most people. Now really where this car shines is the transmission programming. This is one of the best automatic transmissions in the business. I also love how it's a conventional 6-speed auto versus the CVT that most of the competitors are going to. Now, one thing it is missing versus some of its competitors are some paddle shifters. I would like to see paddle shifters, especially since Mazda tends to go after the more sporty route. I'm surprised there are no paddle shifters available. There is a slap shift gate here on the transmission selector, which will upshift, or it'll downshift on gear if you're a rev match on your gear. So it's an overall pleasant experience. Really, those of you with the lead foot are going to be wanting for more power, and that's where I think Mazda should offer a turbo or V6 engine upgrade in the future. Now, since most people won't be accelerating as hard as I usually do in these reviews, when you're driving the car normally, it's a very pleasant experience. Mazda also did decrease the sound levels in here. They added a little bit thicker glass, a little bit more sound insulation material, and you can see here just cruising normally like how most people will drive. This is very nice. The ride is also very comfortable. Despite the fact that this car has 19-inch wheels, the ride's very supple, it's very controlled. It is on the firmer side, so those of you who are looking for a more pillowy ride may want to head over to your Toyota dealership and drive the RAV4. This is more on the sportier side. It's very European feeling, and basically this car hasn't changed in terms of its steering as well. It's very excellent steering. It's very heavy. It has good feel. The car feels very playful, feels very confident, and you're going to love driving this car on roads like this, these twisty back roads. You can basically use the CX-5 to take your kids to school, to soccer practice, and then put some stuff in the back, and then when you kick them all out, this car will drive like basically a tall Mazda 3, and that's the beauty of the CX-5. Now, the visibility in here is also very good. You have excellent view out of the front, out of the rear. The side mirrors are very large, but this car does have a plethora of driver assistance tech in case you need it. There's blind spot monitoring, lane departure warning, where you guys heard if you drift over your lane, it will produce that rumble sound like that, kind of just to mimic kind of going over rumble strips, just to alert you. It does not have any active steering technology, so that's where the 2015 CR-V that I showed you comes into play, where it does have that active lane keep assist. The Mazda is just a passive system. It won't actually actively steer you. But this car does have Mazda's smart city brake support, where it will hit the brakes for you automatically at speeds up to 19 miles an hour. So if you aren't paying attention, this car will automatically hit the brakes, which is a pretty nice feature to have. Now, getting up to highway speeds which you will have to be a little bit patient. This car remains relatively quiet at about 65. The road noise is pretty subdued. The engine makes a decent noise. It's not as refined as engines you're going to hear from Honda, for example, their 4-cylinders. It does get a little raspy. This is a pretty big 2.5-liter 4, but you can see here the elevated seating position, the comfortable seats, and then one thing my tester has is Mazda's adaptive cruise control. So all you have to do is just turn it on, push the set button, and change your distance via these buttons here, and the car will automatically follow the car in front of you. It will not come to a full stop. The system shuts off at about 18 miles an hour, and it'll actually beep at you and display very loudly Mazda radar cruise control canceled. So it's not like some of the other systems where it will follow the car to a stop, but that's okay. This is kind of what you expect in this class. And overall, I'm impressed with the technology features in this car. I'm impressed with the safety features. I'm impressed with the overall ride quality and comfort. This is a really practical car, and it will satisfy a lot of buyers in this class. Basically, any vehicle in this class will satisfy a lot of you looking to move up from your smaller compact car into a compact SUV like this. Now, regarding the fuel economy, I've had this car for about a week. And I've averaged about low 20 miles per gallon. In the city, mostly city, I'm getting about 22 miles per gallon. Now, when I put it up on the highway, I was able to eke it into the low 30s. So it's basically right in line, maybe slightly better than what the EPA rates this car as. So it's really good gas mileage. You will be getting that benefit despite the fact that the car doesn't have very much power. So you are making that sacrifice. If you guys are looking for the fuel efficiency, this car has it. It just doesn't have that power, which what I'm hoping Mazda will add in the future. Now, coming to the conclusion of my review, I'm definitely very impressed still with the CX-5. I think Mazda made the right changes to the vehicle for 2016 just to keep it competitive. There are a couple of features that are missing. There's no active lane keep assist, there's no power tailgate, there's no memory seats. I would like to see Mazda offer that and move this car a little bit more premium. It already has that premium interior and vibe. They can continue adding more into those premium features just to make this car a little bit nicer. Now, all this premium equipment, all these nice looks, doesn't mean this car is on the more expensive side. The CX-5 starts at about $21,800 for a base sport model with front-wheel drive and a manual. That makes it about $1,000 to $1,500 cheaper than competitors like the CR-V, the RAV4, the Rogue, the Escape, which is surprising. However, if you look at the fact that this car comes with a stick, that makes it cheaper. It's about $1,000 cheaper because of that stick. When you add the automatic transmission, it pushes the price up to about $23,000 for a sport with front-wheel drive. All-wheel drive is another $1,000 more, so it'll be about $25,000 for a sport with all-wheel drive. That puts it right in line with its competitors. And my tester, of course, is the GT model. It starts just under $30,000. Of course, there's a $1,500 tech package that my car has, and then there's also a $1,500 iActive Sense package, which gives you the adaptive cruise. That pushes the price to about $34,000. Which is still a really good value for the money. A lot of a fully loaded CR-V is about the same price range, and a fully loaded Escape will be more expensive than this car. It'll push it over like $36,000. So the CX-5 still is a great value. I would just like to see Mazda add a more powerful turbo engine. And then add that power tailgate that a lot of people in this class really like. But overall, if you guys are looking for a compact crossover like this and you don't look at the CX-5, you're really doing yourself a disservice. So make sure you go to your local Mazda dealership and test drive one. It'll definitely be very high up on your list. Anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed my overview of this 2015 or 16 Mazda CX-5. If you're in the market for this kind of vehicle, make sure you check one out. And if you guys are looking to see the latest vehicles I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and keep subscribed to the YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video.